Hi, good morning guys. Dr. Loveleen here. I'm here with Shawn Smith, my favorite trainer. I say that to all of them. I say that to all of them, just kidding. He is actually one of my favorites. And he's here. He's going to tell me about the nutritional requirements for strength training for a female, which I thought would be really cool to share with people, because most of my life I've been concerned about weight loss, and recently I decided I failed at that so many times. I want to make my focus a little different, so I decided that I wanted to try to focus on percentage of body fat lost. And Shawn's going to talk to me about why my thought processes should be a certain way versus just focused on numbers. And if you'll excuse me, I've been sick for a few days. I'm a little under the weather. So I've been resting and taking lots of fluids, because I know that's what all you guys come to me for. When you're sick, you want antibiotics, but no, this is viral. So we treat it with rest and fluids. So here's Shawn. Shawn, good morning. Thanks for meeting with me. I was a little late. So today we're going to talk about this new March mission that we're doing here at Phatburn. And you're going to simplify it for me as much as possible, because I know you know that I'm a doctor, but when it comes to these type of things, I need my information simple and to the point. And so tell me, oh wise one, where to begin?
Okay, well, first we'll talk about the March mission, because that's really like a 2-second conversation.
That's Phatburn, March mission.
So the March mission is basically a calendar where you track how accountable you are to what you said you're going to do. So according to the plan I have here for you today that we'll get into in a little bit, I have you eating 5 times a day. You'll be eating every 3 hours. Now, if
so you heard that, guys, we're eating 5 times a day, every 3 hours. So that would be, for example, 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m. is my math go, okay? And 8 p.m. There's 5 meals right there.
So you got your 5 meals a day spaced out 3 hours apart. On the March mission calendar, you are going to track how many perfect meals you had to how many non-perfect meals you had. So if you're supposed to eat 5 times a day according to my plan, there's going to be a little thing in the calendar that says PM. You will say, okay, I've had my 5 meals and I had no non-perfect meals, meaning that you didn't snack on a piece of candy at the office, you didn't drink a glass of wine when you weren't supposed to, you ate on plan. So if you ate all 5 meals perfect, you put that you had your 5 meals, and you put a green X signifying that you had a perfect day.
Okay.
Now, if you had a meal that you were not supposed to have in there, and you had 4 good meals and 1 bad meal, you will put a red X on that day showing that you did not have a perfect day. The point is to go through all 31 days of March, tracking, and then seeing the percentage of perfect to non-perfect meals that you've actually had, and how adherent you were to the program, meaning that, okay, 70% of the time I was doing what I was supposed to, 30% of the time I was not. Or maybe it's 90-10, maybe it's 50-50. But it's pretty eye-opening when you see at the end of how good you actually were. Because a lot of times we think that we're perfect because we're changing so much, but we still have some of these bad habits in there. And that's really what March Mission is for.
And that's really cool. So we've spoken about this in a previous video, about the importance of, this is going back to the basics, the food log. It's just, it's being accountable to everything that goes into our mouth. And people don't realize how effective it can be if you are compliant to it. So this is a nice way that the guys at Phatburn are trying to make us more aware of what is going into our mouth, being more conscious, more mindful.
Yeah, just making it an easier format where you don't have to write everything you're eating all day. You just have to realize that, okay, I wasn't compliant to the program, it gets a red X. That's pretty much it. So about your meal plan here. So you mentioned before that you want to reduce body fat, you're not necessarily going for weight loss, right? So a simple weight loss diet just means being at a caloric deficit, you burning more calories than you eat, and your weight goes down, right?
Right.
So now you risk some things when you do that, right? You risk energy, you risk losing lean body mass. It's just part of it when it goes into eating at a caloric deficit, that lean body mass will naturally go down. So what you are doing here, since one of your focuses is to build strength, is we're giving you 1 extra meal. Calorically, you're going to be eating probably more than you had before. And the reason for that is so you hold on to your lean body mass or build lean body mass, which means that you will get gains in strength, and your strength will go up. And you will burn fat too, as well. Now, a lot of times where women could, freak out is that scale might not tell the whole story of what's going on. So if you're 155 pounds and you put on 2 pounds of muscle and you lose 2 pounds of fat, that scale is still going to say 155.
Right.
Even though that
perfect meal, Shawn. What's the perfect meal for me?
So the perfect meal for you, it depends, because you want to build strength, right? So that's why you're eating 5 times a day. Now, when I feed somebody 5 times a day that wants to build strength and lose body fat, typically I'm going to feed them starches, which is rice, potatoes, oatmeal, anywhere from 3 to 4 of those 5 meals, depending on activity and all that kind of stuff, right? So I have you eating starches 3 times a day. So what we're going to do here is you're going to eat anywhere from 4 ounces to 3.5 ounces of protein per meal, depending on what size level it is. You're going to be eating your starches 3 times. Now, what that is going to do, it's going to give you some extra glycogen in the muscles, right, to support your strength training. Also, for healing, it's also going to give you a little bit more glycogen for your brain function, which should help you out during work and all that kind of stuff, because you're not at a caloric deficit where you're hungry. And it's definitely 100% going to help your strength gains. So I know that you say that you struggle with the upper body stuff.
Yes.
This is going to help you to not struggle with it so much anymore.
Okay.
Extra calories, especially healthy calories, lead to gains in strength.
Okay.
So we're going to be in a caloric surplus in a sense of it. You're most likely going to be eating more calories than you burn. But since you're eating a whole food, non-processed diet, you're getting really good calories from good sources of proteins, veggies, starches, fats, all that kind of stuff.
Right, so here I'm going to be eating healthy, and I'm going to be eating non-processed, whole foods, and therefore, even though my goal is not weight loss, I think secondarily it will happen. And in the meanwhile, I'll also be able to function nicely and build my strength and build my muscle mass. One other thing I want to tell, a lot of girls are afraid that if they do strength training, they're going to get bulky, and it's just not physically possible with our hormones.
Exactly.
I mean, the women don't have enough of those
testosterone, really.
The muscle building hormone to become like those bodybuilder types. I mean, those women are hardcore, and they're most probably taking some form of something.
That just have a genetic disposition to build muscle.
Lucky.
That don't have to really be on anything. But again, those are women that are lifting heavy. I'm talking deadlifting over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people see these CrossFit women, but I mean, listen, those women are dedicated about eating a diet plan that's going to possibly help them build muscle because they think they're going to get too bulky. Like you said, physically, they do not have the hormone testosterone in their body in abundance enough to help them really build that muscle like that. So really, the longevity of life and looking younger for longer is all about preserving or building lean body mass. That's what makes the metabolism boost. That's what helps everything. So if you can preserve lean body mass or have it go up, that's going to make your metabolism go up, which means that you can eat more, you can train harder, and you'll stay younger for longer.
So I'm going to throw in here right now, because my focus is I don't like anti-aging, but aging gracefully. I don't like the word anti-aging. I like the word aging gracefully. However, for women and men, we start losing bone density and muscle mass as early as our 20s, but by our 40s, we're seeing it. And so this is where I would say, as we're aging, it's so important to do strength training. Male, female, for multiple reasons, but mostly because we are, as each decade passes, we're exponentially losing muscle mass and bone density. So that's why strength training is really the way to go once we start getting older. And things that will improve your flexibility and what's the other word?
Flexibility is huge though for strength training.
Flexibility, but in yoga, it's flexibility, and what's the other thing? Strength and flexibility, yeah.
Strength and flexibility go hand in hand.
Right, but I always feel like yoga is a great thing for as like the aging population too. But
yoga's great. I mean, that's a really good form of recovery, especially after strength training. Yoga and strength training, they can go perfectly well together.
Yeah.
But I like some of the things you talked about. Women in the beginning stages of osteoporosis, strength training is huge for them. Building bones, right? Building muscles. Lean body mass. Everybody thinks food is going to help your metabolism. It does not. Lean body mass does. If you look at anybody who's older, who looks young, I guarantee you they have a good amount of lean body mass on their body that's preserving, and they still exercise.
Yes. So, take it. No. Oh, he's
We're
gonna
good.
take it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. I'll snip all these parts out.
We can't win here, but it's alright.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually kind of winning, but it's
Yeah. No, but it's cool. Okay. So now we've talked about the diet, about the protein. For me specifically, I'll be doing 3.5 to 4 ounces of lean protein 5 times a day. In that, we're doing starches 3 times a day.
exactly.
And the starches, within this particular nutrition plan, they've given us quantities of how much is acceptable. So that I can share with you on a link. Do you have this in a digital format, or it's?
What I could do is I could send you your chart in a digital format and attach it to an email for you, and then you can share that if you like.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if you're interested in asking specific questions, please feel free to ask questions in the comment section, and I will address them. And if I'm unable to address them, I'll ask Shawn, and he can help me out. So, with specific questions, put them in the comments. But right now, so we've spoken about proteins, we've spoken about starches. Veggies can go into.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this chart in an email for you, and I'm actually gonna make a sample day on the bottom so they can see how these numbers translate into actual food and how much food it's gonna be.
Okay.
I think that's the best way.
Okay, and that'll be like an attachment.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually put it right onto this, and I'm gonna copy and paste it right into.
Okay, and then I can put it into my.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, back to that thing. So we've discussed protein. We've discussed starches. The veggies also have their own specific quantities of things like starch-based vegetables will be a starch and not a veggie, and some veggies count just for vegetable, and some of them also have a starch component, right?
I would say more like beans have a starch component.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't really count veggies towards starches.
Okay.
Unless it's like corn. Corn is going to be a little bit different per serving.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I don't count veggies as starch unless it's a bean.
And there's one vegetable that you love that you say it doesn't even, it's a starchy vegetable, but we can count it as a regular vegetable, and that's the purple potato.
Purple potatoes, yes.
They're supposed to be the miracle food. Anyway, so we'll talk about that as well in another video probably. But so that's our breakdown of what we're supposed to be eating. Now exercising. What is the goal with the March Mission exercise?
With the March Mission to exercise, there really is no goal for it because everybody at Phatburn works out anywhere from 3 to 6 times per week. But on that calendar, what I do is I put a check mark on the day if I did work out.
Okay.
So I will tally up my workouts at the end too.
Okay.
Because obviously life gets in the way sometimes, and since you are specifically being fed for a purpose, if you are not able to work out when you say you're going to work out, things need to change. Diet-wise, you have to work out at least a minimum of 3 times per week.
Okay.
At minimum.
Minimum 3 times a week. I'm saying that to the camera, but I'm saying it to my soul anyway.
Yep. So you're going to work out, and hopefully people are going to have anywhere from 12 to 22 workouts by the end of the month. And I can really see when I follow this and I do this amount of workouts, this is how my body changes.
Okay.
That's the goal of the March Mission. Let's see how you change with what you actually did.
Right. So that is our goals with the March Mission. The diet, the exercise 3 to 6 times a week, and what else? What else do we want to talk about?
That's it.
That's it.
I think that's it. We keep this short and sweet.
Right, we're keeping it, okay. We're gonna snip this. So guys, we're keeping this short and sweet, as Shawn said. I will have the information in the section below. And please like, comment, share, and thanks so much and have a great day.